Hello everyone and welcome to Games, Comics and Crafts.
In this video, I'm looking at Conan the Barbarian, Scourge of the Serpent, issue 3. Okay, so this is the third issue of the Scourge of the Serpent miniseries. The Howardverse crossover, as it were. A little bit of an odd one, this one. I'll explain as we get near the end exactly why I think it's a strange one. The actual issue itself is fine. So we start off again with this dude looking over the three versions, and this seems to insinuate that they are reincarnations of Conan, which obviously mean that Cole would be the first one rather than Conan. I don't know. At least that seems to insinuate later on. Not necessarily here. It seems to say they're kind of like interlinked. Anyway, so they explain about Conan the Thief and about how he's been accused of murder, and they explained about how the lot in there of trying to figure out what's possessing this guy's wife. Cole is basically sitting on his throne with his friend and invites all the people in, and it turns out, shockingly enough, that they are snake men. Meanwhile, here in 1934, well, this guy's a psychic, and apparently he's kind of looking around and he sees this mirror, kind of virtual mirror thing in this kind of hazy mist that he kind of like lets himself take because he's a psychic, and he's looked into this mirror, Shaz. Meanwhile, Conan spends most of the issue, which I'm not quite sure why, but um, he finds himself in this room where they've got this Medusa kind of Naga kind of character, and he spends most of the issue just basically killing that, um, which is fair enough. But I'm not quite sure how that quite ties into um, the theft thing. Meanwhile, this psychic guy sees this creature, and it turns says, "Oh, look, you're my dark reflection." It's like Joseph Warlock. I have no idea who this person is, so whether or not the impact's lost. But this also seems to suggest that this note Joseph Warlock is a reincarnation of other people in the past, which is either something to do with Conan or something to do with Cole. Um, so meanwhile, Cole has got this introduction with all these people, gets all these people in, draws them all inside, and it turns out that they are snake men. And after he says his magic words that caused the problems in the first place, turns them into all into snake men, and they all get cut down. Conan's doing his thing against the Medusa. He's fighting his kind of psychic image, or the actual person. I don't really know. But this is the bit that seems to suggest. It says like it's like that they are the same person effectively. And it's like right, okay. And then this lady turns up, who is apparently something to do with this cult, and she was the one that seems to be possessing that guy's wife. And you think, okay, fair enough. That makes sense. That's kind of cool. We've seen there's not really a link as such, except for the fact that every time he says their magic words, it's kind of affect all three time zones. And this guy seems to be the reincarnation of the person that possibly is manipulating everything, or at least overlooking everything as well. So that kind of makes some sense. But he seems to obviously know what's going on. The weird thing is about this is we've got one more issue. That's it. So there's no big meeting. There's no big kind of crossover as such because we've effectively had all the action. We've got one issue now. We can try and fit everything into the last issue about the actual kind of like the plot. And I thought it was going to be like, a 6 issue, a 5 issue at least. It's a 4 issue. So this to me reads like a setup for another story rather than actually being its own story, um, as it were. So maybe we'll have a Scourge of Serpent Part 2 or something or whatever going on or whatever. But definitely seems to be an odd length of book for the amount of not a lot of anything really happening in the first 3 issues, fourth issues. I mean, Conan. Conan's effectively moved around town. Cole's effectively moved from one room to another over the course of 3 issues and killed some snake men. That's his entire plot. So I don't know quite what's going on with that one. But yeah, it reads okay. I just thought it would be a longer story. But like I say, that's why I think this is set up. This is something that's going to come along a little bit, and that psychic reflection chap is going to be something more important. So there you go. But yeah, all in all, not too bad. Not too bad. So there you go. That's pretty much all I can say about this one. As I said, not a lot happens. So that's it. So yeah, one more issue to go, and then we're still back on the Conan main series, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, Well, thanks for listening, and hopefully I will see you on another video very, very soon. Bye bye.